الرحيم إن الله له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت فما لكم من دون الله من ولي ولا نصير لقد تاب الله على النبي والمهاجرين والأنصار الذين اتبعوه في ساعة العسرة اتبعوه في ساعة العسرة من بعد ما كاد يزيغ ثم تاب عليهم إنه بهم رؤوف رحيم وعلى الثلاثة الذين خلفوا حتى إذا ضاقت عليهم الأرض بما رحبت وضاقت عليهم أنفسهم وظنوا أن لا ملجأ من الله إلا إليه ثم تاب عليهم ليتوبوا إن الله هو التواب الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Translation. Surely it is Allah to whom belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. He gives life and causes death. And you have no friend, no helper beside Allah. Allah has certainly turned with mercy to the Prophet and to the emigrants and to the helpers who followed him in the hour of distress, after the hearts of a party of them had well nigh swerved. He again turned to them with mercy. Surely he is to them compassionate, merciful. And he has turned with mercy to the three whose case was deferred, until the earth became too straight for them with all its vastness, and their souls were also straightened for them. And they became convinced that there was no refuge from Allah save unto himself. Then he turned to them with mercy, that they might turn to him. Surely it is Allah who is oft returning with compassion and is merciful. O ye who believe, fear Allah and be with the truthful. The word of Allah is true.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Brother Abdul Salam, for that beautiful recitation. We'll now move on to our next on the agenda. But once again, I just want to, I've seen people just requesting, some people requesting for some IDs or whatsoever it is. There ain't any IDs required for this meeting. It's a straightforward meeting. A lot of questions have already been sent through, which would be, answered time permitting by our experts. However, if you still want to ask some further questions as the program goes ahead, please do type your questions in the chat room. Thank you very much. Move on with the welcome address, and I call upon the Pan-African Muslim Association, PAAMA for short, Northern Regional President in the person of Adebayo Bayo to give us the welcome address. Mr. Bayo.
Yeah, Jazakallah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Tawusubillahi minash-shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The respected President Sahib, PAAMA UK, Brother Tumi Kalon Sahib, the Legitimate President, Mrs. Sani Sahiba, the chairman of this occasion and the Vice President, PAAMA UK, Brother Ahmed Owusu Konodo Sahib, our honorable speakers, all protocols observed, my dear brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessing of Almighty Allah be upon you all. I feel highly honored and privileged to welcome you all to this glorious event. My dear brothers and sisters, Pan-Africa Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, PAAMA, is a subsidiary organization within the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community UK, and it is comprised of all Ahmadi Muslims of African origin living in the UK. Ahmadiyya is known for its humanitarian and welfare activities all over the world under the guidance of our beloved Khalifa. May Allah continue to help him. In accordance with this principle, PAAMA North Region UK is organizing this event for the welfare of the immigrants in the UK. And thank God, the Afrisab, the first of the Holy Quran, which was recited by the Afrisab, also talk about this. This evening, inshallah, we aim at providing our audience with a piece of evidence-based information about numerous opportunities available here and some inevitable issues, such as cost of living, accommodation, school fees, etc., a student or migrant could encounter in the UK. We also want members to develop a strong sense of responsibility for their independence and the ability to make informed decisions about their migration. My dear brothers and sisters, we are neither against or advocate for immigration because for some people, the benefit could outweigh the cost, and for some, the cost might outweigh the benefit. However, our major concern is the welfare of our members arriving in the UK by providing them with some information that could enhance their well-being. Therefore, we have three distinguished speakers this evening who will enlighten us and answer our questions, inshallah. Most importantly, we all need the Jamaat. As Ahmadis, we always attribute our success to attachment to the Khilafat. Therefore, we need to attach ourselves to the Jamaat when we arrive here in the UK. And by doing so we have to start from wherever we are coming from. For example, by getting letters from the Amir or introduction letter from the Amir of the country we are migrating from. I thank Allah the Almighty for graciously giving us the opportunity to organize this event. Similarly, my gratitude goes to Brother Ibrahim Okubena Sahib, who is the committee chairman for this event, and my brother Adam Kaysin, who is PAAMA North Vice President, and is all committee members for the meritorious job to make this event a reality. I also, most importantly, thank our guests for their precious time this evening. I pray that God Almighty may reward you abundantly. I welcome you all to Opportunity Forum, and I humbly pray that Allah may graciously make this event a success. Jazakallah. Have a glorious evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that brief but warm welcome to everyone in the meeting today. We now call on our brother Adam Kelson, who is the Vice President of the PAAMA North Region, to introduce our first speaker. Brother Adam Kelson.
Right. Assalamu alaikum to you all.
Wa alaikum salam.
Our first speaker for tonight's event is in the person of Mr. Hassan Habib. Mr. Hassan Habib is the Managing Director for Hassle-Free Education UK. At Hassle-Free Education, they are specialized in advising both local and international students on how to make the right choice if you want to select education in the UK. They are experts accredited by the UK government for that service. So we believe that for such an occasion, we need the right people to come and advise. That's why we've invited Mr. Hassan. We've been fortunate not to get any ordinary member of his team, but the main director of Hassle-Free Education, the institution that gives you an easy education system to the UK. Shall we now welcome Brother Hassan Habib, Brother Al-Hassan Habib from Hassle-Free Education. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Just can you please quickly type in the chat box if you can hear me and if you can see me properly. Just I'd like to.
Yes, we can hear you and see you clearly. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So first of all, I'd like to thank you, Mr. President and Secretary and Brother Ahmed for inviting in this session. And I'm really excited to share a lot of things with you. And before starting, just I'd like to introduce my colleague, Nafiza Anjum. She's gonna share a lot of things, what we do day in, day out, and how we help our students. So before that, just I'd like to understand the audience. So can you please type in the chat box, where are you watching from? So if you are watching it from UK, please type in the chat box UK. And if you are watching it from other countries, please type in the chat box your country name. Just I'd like to see. Thank you for responding. I can see a lot of people are joining from UK and some other from Nigeria, Ghana. Excellent. Thank you so much. So for the UK, who are living right now, we consider them as local students. And from our side, who are watching this video and would like to come to study in the UK, we consider them international students. So I'd like to segregate just two parts. One is local, the other one is international. I just repeat. So who are residing in the UK, who are settled in the UK, we consider them as local students. And who are watching from outside of this country and who has got different nationalities, we consider them as international students. So today, I can see a lot of students. I mean, they are from outside of the UK. And that's why I would like to request Nafiza in a minute to share how we help our international students. So just I'd like to give you a very quick, what is called information so that you understand how we can help our local students who are living in the UK. So as I was called, so I'm the CEO of Hassle-Free Education. And before sharing that, the information, just I'd like to share with you a little bit about myself. So as you know, my name is Hassan Habib, and I came to this country in the UK as an international student. Probably a lot of students, they would like to come to this country as an international student. So I studied Birmingham City University in international business. And then after finishing my study, I moved to post-study work, 2 years work permit. And then I applied for entrepreneur visa. And then I was allowed to do the business here for 5 years. And then I got settlement. The reason I'm sharing this is if you have got, if you are very, very ambitious and if you are really, really hardworking person, if you think smartly, so you'll be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. That's the thing I'd like to mean. So dear viewers, I'd like to thank you again for listening to me. So who are the international students? Just I'd like to give you a brief information in 2-3 minutes. Then we're going to jump into international, because there are a lot of students who would like to study in the UK as international students. So for the local students, we are working with a good number of universities: London, Birmingham, Manchester, Milton Keynes, Leeds. So I know you said you are from UK. So please just specifically mention which city you are watching from. If it is London, please type in the chat box London. If you are watching from other cities, please type in the chat box so that I can understand where are you watching from. So without any qualification, if you are considered as settled in the UK, I mean, if you have got British, European, or ILR or refugee status, that means you will be considered as settled in the UK. So we can help you with university course, whatever the course you'd like to study. And if you do not have any sort of previous qualification, still we can help you. And the way we can help you is, we're gonna first of all give you the consultation, all the information about the university and courses. And then once you choose the course, then we're gonna help you and support you with your CV, personal statement, all this stuff. Then we're gonna help you to make your application. And once you made the application, then we're gonna give you training, proper training, and then we're gonna schedule you for the interview. And this is how we're gonna help. So now you might have a question. So is the course free or something else? Still, I'm talking about the local students. No, the course is not free. As you are settled in the UK, so you'll be eligible for student finance. And once you got admission at university, then we'll help you to make your application to the student finance. And this is how your university course will be financed by student finance. That's the thing that I wanted to share with you, because there are a lot of speakers here. They would like to give you much more information. So quickly, if you have got any questions regarding the local students, so please fire away in the chat box. I will give you the answer. And other than that, that's everything. So I'd like to invite my colleague Nafiza. Nafiza, can you please share how we help? I mean, last, I think, 13-14 months, we have helped 73 students from international countries. So if you'd like to study in the UK from other countries, so this presentation is going to help you. And I'd like to request you, please take a lot of notes. And still, if you have got any questions, so please type in the chat box and my colleague will answer you. So just I'm handing to Nafiza.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So my name is Nafiza. I'm an education counselor of Hassle-Free Education. So I would like to know, how are you all? So can you please type in the chat box, how are you all? If you're feeling good, you can type in the chat box good. And I'm also feeling good, alhamdulillah. So today I'm going to give you a presentation on how to get UK study visa as an international student. So students from all over the world want to study in the UK. It's their dream. So we are helping them to achieve this dream. I mean, we are helping them to get the UK study visa, to get admission into their dream universities. Today I'm going to give presentation about the universities, about the visa process, everything. So if you have any question, you can type in the chat box. And in the meantime, you can ask me after the presentation session. Okay, so without any further ado, first let me share my screen and give my presentation. Okay. So if you guys can see my screen, can you please type in the chat box, yes, if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, your screen is seen here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So first of all, welcome to Hassle-Free Education. Hassle-Free Education is a UK-based consultancy firm, and it's helping local and international students since 2014. And you have already known that the CEO of Hassle-Free Education is Mr. MD Ahsan Habib. He was also an international student of Birmingham City University. Now he is the owner of a UK-based consultancy firm that is Hassle-Free Education. We are operating from 3 offices in the UK, London, Birmingham, and Manchester. And we have 2 offices in Bangladesh, Dhaka, and Sylhet. We have offices in India and Pakistan. Also, we are helping students from all over the world. So I have already introduced myself. I'm an UK counselor of hassle-free education. We are also helping students to study into Canada and USA. So let me start my presentation. So before starting my presentation and before giving you lots of information about the admission process, I would like to share some of the recent success stories. Some success stories of our international students who got UK study visa through hassle-free education. Okay, so first I would like to start with this student. Her name is Moni. She got UK study visa with her family. You can see her husband and her 2 kids. They also flew with her after getting the UK visa, and she got admission at the Coventry University in the UK. So this is one of the ranked university in the UK, and this university has only 4,000 cash deposit. I mean, she made a deposit of 4,000 British pound only, and she flew with her whole family. So those who want to study in the UK and wants to fly with their family, they can apply at this university. And this is our another student. She was from Pakistan and she got UK student visa at Ulster University. This is one of the lowest tuition fee university. And despite having long study gap, she made it and she got the visa for UK. And this is our another student. He also got UK student visa for Staffordshire University, which is also a very renowned university in the UK. And we helped him to get admission without IELTS and with a smart scholarship of 2,000 British pound. So this is another student. He got admission at University of East London at MSc Artificial Intelligence. So those who are from computer science or software background can apply in this course. And now I would like to talk about another student. Her name is Nasreen. She got UK study visa with her family, and her kids are getting free education from the UK schools. So those who want to study with their, who want to fly with their family, they can take this opportunity because your kids will get free education from the UK. And this is another student. Her name is Maya. She got admission at Birmingham City University. She flew with her husband and she got admission at public health. So those who are from nursing, medical, or health background, they can apply at this course. And we helped her to get £1,500 scholarship. And this is our another student, Mihzabeen Khan. She got admission at Cardiff Metropolitan University, which is in the Wales. And she also flew with her husband and kid, as you can see. And this is our another student. His name is Saifur Rahman. He got UK student visa with previous visa refusal. That means if you're having previous visa refusal, you do not need to worry because you'll still get UK student visa and we will help you through the entire process. And visa with Duolingo, this is an online English proficiency test. So those who are thinking of applying to the UK universities without IELTS, this can be an option for you. And this student got the chance to transfer his credits from China University to UK University. And thus we helped him to get UK student visa for University of West of England, Bristol. And this is our another student who got visa from Coventry University without IELTS. So you guys have seen that we have helped lots of students to study into different universities in different courses, and we help them to fly with their spouse and their kids. We have partnership with 25 plus inner London universities and 80 plus outer London universities. So if you want to study in these universities, I think we can definitely help you. Now the question comes like, what are the benefits of studying in the UK? So if you want to study in the UK, what will be your benefits? Now let me talk about the benefits of studying in the UK. I can see lots of people are commenting. I will reply you after this presentation session. So please stay with us and stay with us till the end. You will get lots of information from this presentation. The first benefit you will get is the world-class education. So from the UK universities, the education we will receive will be world-class. And you will get a better career. I mean, the skills and knowledge you will achieve from the UK universities will be admired by the worldwide employer. And then 2 years post-study work permit, which is very important. After completing your degree, you will get the chance to work for full-time in the UK. Okay, part-time job opportunities. During your study time, you will get the chance to work for part-time, and it is 20 hours a week. And also, you will get the permanent residency, I mean the citizenship from the UK after completing your degree through different routes. We will give you the guideline for that as well. And if you're applying for postgraduate program, you can fly with your spouse and kids. So these are the all benefits you will get from UK if you're applying as an international student. Now you need to meet the requirements. Since UK is an English-speaking country, you need to fulfill the English requirements first. As you all know, IELTS is accepted by the UK universities. If you're having at least 6.0 in your IELTS exam, then you can apply for both undergraduate and postgraduate program. Besides that, you can perform online English tests like Oxford International Test, like OIETC or Duolingo. Also, if your last degree was taught in English, I mean, if your medium of instruction was in English, then you can apply without IELTS. Not only this, if you have minimum C in your English in WASSCE, then you can get the IELTS waiver and you can apply without IELTS. Isn't that a good opportunity? So if you're having at least C in your English, then you will get the IELTS waiver. Now comes the very important point, that is cost breakdown. You should have some budget. If you're planning to study in the UK, you should have the plan, like how much money you should spend before flying to the UK. So now I will talk about that. So first is the minimum tuition fee deposit. I mean, you need to make a deposit to the university after getting the offer letter, and it's starting from 2,000 to 3,000 British pound. That means you can fly to the UK by making a deposit of 2,000 to 3,000 pound in the university. So this is very reasonable for any international students. Then you need to make a deposit for tuberculosis test and health insurance. It will vary from your, it will vary according to your course duration, but per year it is 470 British pound. And embassy fee, 369 British pound, which you need to submit at the PFS center in your country. So this is the cost for embassy, and year ticket cost depends on the year. And according to the today's currency, you can see 1 British pound equals to 14.349149 Ghanaian cedis. So this is the currency rate, and the total cost will be 86K Ghanaian cedis. So this is the total cost to study in the UK. So if you're having this amount in your account, you are good to go. Now let me talk about the living expense. So if you're planning to study in any university which is located outside London, then per month your living expense will be 1027 British pound, and per year it will be 9207 British pound. And if you're planning to study into an university which is located inside London, then per month your living expense will be 1334 British pound, and per year it will be 12,006 British pound. This is the standard living expense provided by the UKVI. Currently, we are taking admission for mid-2023, which is going to end in 1 month. But you do not need to worry because the big session is yet to come. That is September 2023 intake. So if you want to get offer early, if you want to get visa early, if you want to get maximum scholarship, this is the right time to make application for the September 2023. So how many of you would like to make application for September 2023? Can you please type in the chat box me if you really want to apply for September 2023, because this is the big intake and almost all the universities will open all the courses. So please type in the chat box me if you would like to apply for September 2023 intake. I can see lots of people are commenting. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion. Now let me talk about the study gap. Probably you are worried about your study gap, but let me tell you, if you're planning to apply for bachelor program or undergraduate program, the universities will accept 5 years, up to 5 years study gap. But if you're planning to apply for master's or postgraduate program, there is no limit. I mean, if you have completed your last degree 20 years ago, still you can apply for the master's program, but you need to provide proper explanation for that. Now let me talk about the academic requirement. This is also very important to get the acceptance letter or offer letter from the universities. So for undergraduate students, you should have at least grade A to B in 5 subjects, including math. And in English, you should have minimum C. And if you have completed your ordinary national diploma, then you should have a minimum of lower credit. So this is the requirement, entry requirement. You can take a screenshot of that as well. And then postgraduate. So if you're planning to study in the postgraduate program, then you can, if you're having at least 2:2 or above than that in your bachelor program, then you can apply for master's in the UK. So if you're meeting the entry requirements, how we are going to help you? I mean, what are the services we will provide you? So let me share about our services for the international students. First, we will help you to choose the right country and right program for you. I mean, according to your profile, we will help you choose the right university, country, and program for you. We will give you the application guideline. We will help you. We'll give you the guideline to update your CV and personal statement according to the university standard. And we will help you to get the offer letter. It can be conditional, it can be unconditional. And we will help you to prepare for the interview. You know that UK universities are conducting pre-CAS interview. So our whole team will be there to help you out with the interview. And then we will help you to get the CAS application. So by getting the CAS letter, you can apply for the visa. And also we'll help you to book the medical appointment. We will give you the finance guidance. Like from which bank you should show your bank statement. There's specific UKVA approved banks from which you can show bank statement and how much money you should have in your account and for how many days you should have that amount in your account. We will give you every guideline. Then we will help you to file the visa application. And as I have already told you, we have 3 offices in the UK, in London, Birmingham, and Manchester. So once you will get the visa, our team will pick you up from the airport. Also, they will support you with your accommodation and job. So that's the services we will provide you, and all the services are free. We will not charge a single penny from you. Our whole service will be free for you. Now it's time to make the application. So to place the application, we need some documents from your side. So you need to arrange your documents. So what will be those documents? If you want to apply in the UK universities, if you want to get the UK student visa, what will be the documents? So these are the documents you must have with you before applying to the UK universities. First is passport. Without passport, you cannot place the application. Also, you need to prepare all academic documents like your certificates, mark sheets, or transcripts. Then you need to prepare your CV. Then you need to provide your IELTS or any other English proficiency certificate. And then the personal statement and reference letter from your employer or your teacher. So these are the mandatory documents you need to submit at the UK universities. So these are our contact details. You can send us an email. This is our email address, international@h&kbusiness.co.uk. And these are our WhatsApp numbers. You can WhatsApp us on these numbers. Our team will help you out with all of your queries. So please take a screenshot of our contact details. If you have any queries, feel free to contact us. So this is our email address and these are our contact numbers. In the meantime, if you have any queries, you can type in the chat box. We will answer your question.
Thank you very much, Nafija, for that brilliant presentation. I think the plan, it's you keep all your questions coming in the chat room. You've also got their contact details as well. And what will happen is at the end of all the presentations, then we bring all the panel down and then they will then be answering all your questions. So thank you very much. I guess we will now move on to our next panel who is here today and I believe Brother Adam Kelson is ready to introduce our next expert.
Right. Our next professional is no any other person than one of us. When I say one of us, he's also one of our African brothers. He had his legal education, LLM, he had legal practice from the University of Nottingham-Trent, had another LLM from the University of Leicester, and had his LLB from the University of East London. After all these, our brother is now practicing as a lawyer and solicitor at Aduku Solicitors in London. As we speak now, he's in Africa. He travels almost all over Africa to meet his clients and to serve them. This brother is no any other person than our brother, Chris Vincent Ejapon. Let's welcome our brother, lawyer, Chris Vincent Ejapon. Welcome, brother Chris.
Thank you very much. As I was introduced already, I'm a solicitor based in London. I work for a London-based law firm as a consultant solicitor. I'm called Aduku's Solicitors. From what I've heard so far, it does seem most people are looking at various routes of coming to the UK, perhaps to work or also to study. I would make it brief, and perhaps after that, if people have that questions to ask, they can then send it my way so that I can actually answer them as to what they perhaps want to know. I've heard the first speaker talk about coming to the UK to study. She's given quite detailed information as to what would entail an applicant when they are looking to come and study in the UK in terms of the various financial and perhaps educational requirements as well. So maybe I would then leave the education side to them and then look at coming to work in the UK. Mostly you would have a lot of people looking at an option to come and work in the UK or to settle in the UK. The UK has recently introduced a very now popular route of coming to live and work in the UK, which is the skilled worker route. The skilled worker route is quite gaining a lot of prominence, especially among young Africans that are looking to come and relocate or settle in the UK. So I will zoom on the skilled worker route and then perhaps also look at the various other routes that are available for people who would want to come and stay or settle in the UK. Currently, on the skilled worker route, we have those coming in as nurses or healthcare professionals. The UK has a long list of skilled workers. So for instance, if you are a technician, you are maybe a teacher, you are a nurse, you're a doctor, you are a care worker, you would fall within a category called the skilled worker. route or as a skilled worker person. You can't be determined as someone with a very special skill. So the UK has a tall list of people that would fall under a category called the skilled workers or the skilled worker route. However, under the whole umbrella of skilled workers, the UK has another small layer of workers that the UK will call the shortage occupation skilled workers. So you can be a skilled worker, which means that you can actually start looking for an opportunity to work in the UK. However, being a skilled worker alone is quite difficult. If you fall within the small category of people that they will call the shortage occupation skilled workers. So we have the nurses and predominantly the healthcare workers as well falling under the shortage occupation list. Then of course, you are very much likely to get an employer in the UK saying, look, we want you to come and work for us. What is happening is that because you're a skilled worker and because you might fall within or you fall within the shortage occupation list, what the shortage occupation list would mean is that we are looking at a group of professionals that are in high shortage in the UK, such that the UK government has recognized that, look, we lack these professionals, we need them here. So it's not just that you're a professional, but then it's because your profession is also in high demand. We need it in the UK. And therefore, they've made a very easy path, or they've created a very easy path for such professionals to come to the UK and settle in the UK. I would take, for instance, carers or nurses. So if you're a carer or you have any sort of care background as to assistant, maybe care, nursing, or those kind of people that would fall under the healthcare visa route, you can actually look for an employer in the UK and say, look, I am a nurse or I am somebody who has worked in the healthcare industry for some time providing care. I would want to come and work in the UK. In such a case, you are already a professional that falls under the shortage occupation list. And therefore, it will be very easier for this employer who might have sponsorship to bring you over to the UK to work. When, for instance, you find an employer and you've gone through the various routes of recruitment, maybe you look at interviewing or having sent your CV, they might contact you, they might interview you. If at the end of it, you are successful and they offer you an employment, and then you come to the UK, you would then be under a very special route of visa called the skilled worker route, where you would have to be under the route for 5 years to be able to gain settlement after the 5 years, to be able to then continue living in the UK. That is one of the routes that people can actually look into. It's quite very straightforward when it comes to skilled workers. The problem with most people is being able to find an employer or a sponsor that would want to bring you over. You cannot just apply for a visa and say, look, I want to come to the UK to work without having had a sponsor. You must have an employment already in place. So you must have somebody saying, look, I want to employ you. I've employed you. I've given you that sort of employment sponsorship. Then you will use that sponsorship letter to actually, or the certificate of sponsorship to apply for a visa, then to come to the UK and work for this particular employer. So once that you've actually obtained that sponsorship, you can then apply for the visa. So it's not an issue of people come to you and say, look, I want to come and work in the UK. And I will tell them, look, of course you can come and work in the UK. However, the UK is not one that you can just get a visa, come in and start looking for work that way. You would have to actually obtain the employment outside under a particular route, in this case, the skilled worker route. Then once you've been employed, you've been given the sponsorship, you apply for the visa, then you come straight away to work for your sponsor or the employer that actually brought you back. So that's one of the very various routes that individuals can actually consider if they're looking to come and work in the UK, not to come in school or anything at all, but to directly come and work in the UK by considering the skilled worker route. Then there is another route that people might perhaps be interested in, which would be that they can look at something called innovative visa schemes. So the UK has a very interesting route as well for people looking to come and work within the UK. Here, they have a very interesting scheme called the Innovative Visa Scheme or the Innovation Visa Scheme. With that scheme, you might have a bit of difficulty obtaining the visa based on a very stringent criteria that you have to meet. The first part of the rules or the route to obtaining that visa would be you would have to provide evidence of an amount of money that you would have available to be able to come and start a business in the UK. So the innovative visa allows you to come to the UK and start your own business. You'd have to show that you have about £50,000. So that's a fixed amount of money, £50,000 or more, that you want to come to the UK to invest in the UK. That's easy for people to obtain. I've had that would easy be able to provide evidence of they having 50. The difficulty with innovative visa, convince the Home Office that you have a business idea. It's very innovative, or it's an innovative business. Has to be a business that's bringing some different level of innovation to the UK. It cannot be as though a business that already exists in the UK, you just want to come and replicate the business. It has to be a business that or the innovation visa, which is quite very new, but yet also very powerful and very advantageous in many ways. There are two very stringent requirements, or I would say two very important requirements that you would have to meet when it comes to the innovation visa. You would have to, one, demonstrate that you have £50,000 available to come and invest in the UK. That's quite easy for a lot of people to actually obtain. £50,000. It's not that the government wants to take the money. You just have to show that you have that in your bank account and you want to come to the UK to start a business with that 50,000. The most difficult part in relation to the innovation visa scheme is that you would have to demonstrate that you have a business that you want to come and start in the UK that is both innovative in nature and also the business must be scalable. Innovative in nature in the sense that it has to be you bringing something very different, very innovative into the UK market in terms of the business. So for instance, you cannot say you want to come to the UK and set up a chicken and chip shop. There's nothing innovative about this. We have several chicken and chip shops in the UK. Your application is going to be refused. So if you have some very unique business ideas, of course, you can actually look at that. Recently, I had a friend obtain an innovation visa from Ghana. The person is a filmmaker. They are coming to Ghana to set up a film school for ethnic minority communities in the UK to be able to train these young people to actually, get into filming in terms of directing, acting, and then also try to support these people that they will train to also go out there, start their own production, and then help them market, the films based on their already established network. So that's something innovative. There's nothing like that probably in the UK at the moment. So you will have to look at yourself and say, look, what sort of innovative idea do I have? What kind of business can I go and start in the UK that I can actually argue that this business is something new, very distinct, very innovative? Once you're able to get such an idea on top of your 50,000, and then you would also have to demonstrate that the business you're going to start is not going to be a business that's just going to be revolving around you only in the UK, no one-man person business. It has to be a business that is both innovative and then scalable. It has to be able to expand. When we say scalable, the business must be able to expand over a period of time. The good thing, as I say about the innovation visa, is that once you have the visa, it doesn't take you 5 years usually under other working routes to be able to obtain settlement. So once you get an innovation visa, within 3 years, you qualify to apply for indefinite leave to remain or to apply for a settled status. So that's one of the biggest advantages of this visa. Also, the fact that, look, it's something that you have to come and do it yourself. You're not going to go and be chasing employers around. This is something that you yourself will say, look, I am coming to the UK to do this. I'm not very much dependent on either somebody wants to employ me or not, or if somebody wants to fire me or not. My visa is not tied to a sponsor. Your visa is tied to you and your business. So that's what makes this kind of visa very interesting for a lot of people. One of the other advantages of the innovative visa is just as under other skilled worker visas, you'll be able, or under the skilled worker visa, you'll be able to come in with your spouse and with your other dependents, children, if you have any. And then within 3 years, they would also be able to get settlement as long as they meet the residency requirements. So the route is shorter, 3 years to indefinite leave to remain, compared to 5 years to indefinite leave to remain under the skilled worker visas or under the skilled worker visa route. One other thing I would want to talk about is the current addition of teachers to the skilled worker route as well. The UK has recently, just this month, February, added the fact that some qualified teachers from Ghana, Nigeria, Jamaica and other countries would be able to come to the UK to work as teachers. So we had the healthcare industry. Now the UK is opening up as well for teachers to come in and start working. It's a very new route. It just started. So they are now actually opening a portal. They've opened a portal for people who have local training. So if you're a teacher in Ghana, in Nigeria, or in one of these countries, and you have been trained as a teacher, you would have to actually, it will be easy to find a job in the UK if you're able to convert your current certificate to a standard that the UK accepts. So now they've actually opened a portal for people looking to convert the existing teaching qualifications to something called the qualified teacher status in the UK. So if you are also interested in that, if you're a teacher and you're interested in coming to the UK to teach, you can actually search online for how to become a qualified teacher in the UK, or qualifying your sort of already obtained qualification in your home country to become a qualified, to get a qualified teacher status in the UK. Once you have obtained the qualified teacher status in the UK, you are then able to apply for employment with many of the UK schools that are already looking for teachers in various fields across the world. If you teach very much within the areas of the sciences and mathematics, then of course you are very likely to be able to find a role or a teaching job in the UK. Unlikely if you are teaching English in Africa, I think you're going to find it difficult. I don't know how come you would come from, let's say, Ghana to come and teach British children English. It's going to be difficult. Of course, it's doable. But then if you're teaching sciences, you're teaching chemistry, physics, maybe biology, you know, those subjects are very much in high demand in the UK. Therefore, you can also look at that sort of a route or angle to see if you can obtain some employment within the teaching sector in the UK, and then you can come and live in the UK. Unfortunately, unlike the innovation visa, where the route to settlement is 3 years, with the teachers, you have to go through the usual 5 years to obtain settlement. You also be allowed to bring your wife and then dependent, just like we have under the healthcare industry. So these are quite the very 3 prominent routes that you can look at if you're looking to come and work in the UK and live in the UK as well. So here we have, as I said from the beginning, you can look at the healthcare industry, where you can look at the skilled workers route, or you can look at the innovation visas, or you can look at the now qualifying teacher status, or the skilled worker for teachers, where actually you would have to then convert first your qualification within country to that of a UK standard called the qualified teacher status. Once you've done that, you can then apply for jobs from UK as a teacher. So I think I would have to leave it here for you guys now. And then if you have any questions, you can actually drop it. I would be able to answer you on that. But then I would hope that this has been very meaningful to people. And you know, if you have any questions as well, as I said, you can ask. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
for the wonderful presentation.
I guess Mr. Adam Kilson will now move on to our next, and I guess the questions are piling up. Just please be patient with us. Get all the questions ready. If your questions have already not been answered, get them ready. And at the end, as I said, we have the last, expert to speak. And right after that one, the floor will be open for the questions to be answered. So keep the questions in the chat room, and then hopefully we'll address that. Adam Kilson, I come to you now to introduce our the last speaker, or the last expert for today. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have a life of international students and immigrants in the UK. To talk about this, we're going for no other person than someone who came into the UK as an international student, and after studying, chose to be an immigrant in UK. And alhamdulillah, he's part of us. At the moment, he is a student. At the moment, he works with different universities in the UK. He's a senior lecturer in public health and teaching consultant working with several universities in the UK. We have no other person than our own brother, Dr. Sanda Umar. Brother Sanda Umar, you're welcome. Thank you.
Jazakallah, Brother Kilson. I'll just share my screen and hopefully that works. So if someone can just give me a shout.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Carry on.
Excellent. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'd first of all like to convey to you the usual Islamic salutation of greeting, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So as you've rightly heard, my name is Sanda Umar Ismail. You've already heard from two main speakers who have talked about how to gain admission into universities in the UK. You've also heard about several routes that you can actually use to come to the UK to live and also to work. In this very brief session, I've been asked to talk about the life of international students in the UK. So it's a very short period of time that I've got to tell you a lot about this, very interesting journey of international students. But I'm hoping that within the next 10 minutes or so, I'm able to give you a flavor as to, what life looks like as an international student in the UK. Just to say a little bit more about myself, I am a Ghanaian from the Upper West region of Ghana. As Brother Kilson rightly and vividly pointed out, I came to the UK to study as an international student about a decade ago to actually do my master's in public health at the University of the West of England in Bristol. I'm currently a senior lecturer in public health at the same university where I did my master's and the same university where I did my PhD as well. I'm also an academic lead for several international partnerships between the University of the West of England, Bristol, and other universities overseas. And one of them, which is the largest one, is a partnership that we have with Hainan Medical University in China. I also do work as a consultant with several universities, working to develop several modules and programs in Masters in Public Health. Some of these universities include Manchester Metropolitan University, University of Central Lancashire, and Queen Mary's University, London. I'm also a researcher as well, so I'm a research fellow for the National Institute of Health Research, working with several universities in the northern part of England. I also supervise PhD students and candidates who are actually training to become consultants in public health in the UK. So amidst all these roles, I've been working a lot with international students. In fact, my master's dissertation was specifically focused on finding out about the health and well-being of international students in the UK. So I'll be sharing some of these experiences and some of these insights with you within this short presentation. I'd just like to first of all start off by kind of like the general motivations, okay, things that inspire people to apply to study in the UK. These are very broad, and this is also not an exhaustive list, and you could relate to some of these. So, a lot of people who apply to study in the UK, one of the obvious things is to increase your knowledge in a particular discipline, okay? Some do come to gain that knowledge and then go back to get promotions at the workplace. But some also do come to study to be able to, take opportunities of job offers in the UK as well. And some of the reasons that normally a lot of people don't talk about, it could just be family pressures, go and get a degree overseas and go get a master's degree in the UK. Or just because someone just says it's a good idea to get your master's or to get your undergraduate degree in the UK. The motivations do matter, and they can be very personal. The key thing, especially for this presentation, is no matter what is, what your motivation or your aspirations or your inspirations are, the common thing is that you will be studying in the UK. So I'm just going to give you a whistle-stop kind of like presentation to let you see what it feels like, being an international student in the UK. So a lot of the time, I get several calls, I get several questions, from students from Africa, students from South, Asia, and all around the world when they want to study in the UK. And the first question they ask me, I want to do a master's degree, I want to do an undergraduate degree. Can you advise me on the type of degree that I should choose? I think this is the starting point of actually studying in the UK, knowing what you want to come and study in the first place. And my answers usually back to them is, I cannot suggest a degree for you, but what I can advise you is always think about the job that you want this degree to land you on first. The key thing about studying is that you get a good job. That is what we all study for, that we get a good job, we get a job that we love. So rather than thinking about the degree to do now and then think about the jobs that are available for that degree, in fact, you should think about it the other way around. What job do I want to do? Okay, what job opportunities do I think are in the UK, first of all? Now, and if you find one that you want to do, that you feel you have a passion for, you feel you can actually, you've got a skill set to do, now think about which degree will help me to land onto that job. So one of my key messages to you this evening from the UK, is that think about the job first, and now think about which degrees will help me to get that particular job, okay? I also like to break a myth over here, and this is a lot of the time we hear, people say, I have studied in Africa, I have studied in Asia, studying in Africa and Asia is torture. You've got to read so much, you've got to do so many subjects. And I survived and I passed and I got my degree and I want to further on. Or, while I was doing studying in senior high school, there's so much pressure. The UK doesn't seem to have that pressure in terms of the education. So I think it's going to be an easy ride, especially if you're doing a master's program. Most master's program is a year. And then, mostly you have only 2 days where you go for lectures. The rest of the days are self-studies. And people are like, oh, just 2 days in a week. I've got 5 extra days. I think, this is going to be an easy ride. And I just want to bust that bubble. It is not an easy ride. Please don't be deceived. And you understand later on from the slides that I'll be showing you what's actually involved, okay, as an international student in the UK. Some of it based on my experiences, but most of it actually based on the international students that I do work with across various universities here in the UK. So one of the things that you probably will be imagining this, or you'd have noticed that, is that the UK has a different academic system compared to the academic systems that we use, in Africa and in Asia and in other parts of the world, okay? So coming as an international student, you need to recognize that you've got to get used to a different academic system. Now, this is usually a very big challenge for international students, okay? What you do realize is that, in Africa or Asia, the academic system is a very didactic kind of like formula. By didactic, it means your lecturer is going to tell you something, show you a book where you have to go and get something from. You've got to reproduce that. You don't challenge your lecturer. You don't bring anything outside of what is being recommended for you. And you're used to that system. So you're used to things like exams. You're used to things like, definitions and explanations and all that. The UK education system is different. It's more of critiquing. It's more of coming out with your own initiatives. It's questioning what is already there, okay? And with this, a lot of international students really struggle. First of all, it's a cultural thing because that's not the way we are groomed in our, in our academic culture. But when you come here, it's got to change. You've got to question stuff. You've got to critique, things as well. So this is something you need to bear in mind, okay? And it will take a lot of time to get used to, okay? And this is one of the challenges that a lot of international students face. And unfortunately, all the universities that I've worked with, there are always cases where we have to sit as a panel and actually, discuss academic misconduct among international students, okay? The whole idea of the way, you write your essays and your assessments, acknowledging people's work, which you will not be used to if you've studied in Africa or Asia, okay? So think about it, that it's a different academic system, but that is not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. The implication here is that you've got to spend a lot of time to get used to the system, okay, to be able to sail through successfully. Now, the third bullet point on this slide, which is quite a funny one, I always say, but it is real. okay? If this is, if this is your first time coming to the UK, as it was my first time coming to the UK 10 years ago, and of course, if you're from, a West African country or a part of, Africa where your national language is English, or in Asia where you taught in English, you're coming to the UK, and of course, it is English that everyone will be speaking as an official language. But then there is this thing about the English accent, and this thing, a lot of the time, most of my international students in class always say, oh my God, I've gone to this lecture and I didn't hear any single word that the lecturer said. And I've got a funny story around this. When I came with my friend, and our first day in the lecture, we barely couldn't hear anything that our English lecturer was talking about, talking, with the English accent. There were words like responsibility that we know that when you want to say responsibility, you say responsibility, isn't it? And we're hearing things like responsibility, and we don't know what responsibility is, and so it takes time to get used to the accent. And as I said, this is not a bad thing. As you sort of sail through the system, you become used to it. But these are the challenges that you've got to go through, okay? There is something that I want to mention about, and a very exciting thing that used to be in existence, but taken away and brought back. When I came to the UK 10 years ago, that was the year they took away the postgraduate study leave. So what this means is that if you are studying a master's program and you finish, you've got an opportunity to stay here for another couple of years to gain work experience, okay? And I believe that this was great. What it does is that it gives you the opportunity to be able to focus on your studies, knowing that you've got that kind of like window where you can actually extend your stay, okay, without the burden of actually studying, to be able to look for a job, okay, or actually further your studies if you want to do a PhD. Now, the sad news actually with this particular thing is that, and recently I've sat in a lot of meetings, last month, is that the condition behind it is that you've got to pass your master's program, okay? So when you now apply for a postgraduate study leave, you've got to demonstrate that you've actually passed all your courses or all your modules in your master's program. And we see a lot of students, international students, who don't actually meet the criteria because they still got courses they need to reset. And their visas are coming to an end, and they are now struggling, okay? And if they are not able to apply before their visas end, it becomes difficult, it becomes very much complicated. So my message here to you is that if you're planning to come to the UK, and if you're looking for it to take advantage of this opportunity, which I believe it's great, then just bear in mind that you've got to really do well, okay, in your master's. You've got to pass all your modules and your courses, okay? And that's why it's really important to give a lot of focus to your studies in the UK, okay? Again, one of the things that I think it's usually not talked a lot about when it comes to international students, it's regarding their health and well-being students over here. So now when you come to the UK, what you realize is that it's a different healthcare system in the first place, okay? So in the UK, healthcare is free at the point of care, okay? Because the healthcare system is financed from people's taxes. And as a student, it's all incorporated into the fees that you pay, okay? So while you are here as a student in the UK, you'll be registered with a general practitioner, which is a GP, that's a doctor. And then, if you have any conditions with your health, you can actually book an appointment and go in, okay, for free treatment for a lot of conditions, okay? And for a lot of medications, as well. You've got to take care of yourself, okay? You are putting yourself from an environment where, coming to a place where things are a bit different. The food is different over here, okay? So if you're used to your fufu and your TZ and stuff, you come here, there are loads of international foods over here, but sometimes a lot of the time for a lot of international students, they've got to get used to, the environment, find their way around, depending on where they are, look for where they can find local foods. And I'll talk about in a minute some of the things that can help you to take care of challenges like that. But the key message over here is take care of yourself, okay? Take care of your physical health, your mental health, and your emotional well-being. Because studying can be difficult, okay? And there are a lot of implications in terms of the commitment, you know, and the investment, you know, in studying, okay? So make sure that you have those in mind as well. We are very fortunate, you know, as Ahmadi Muslims to have a very vibrant Jamaat in the UK. In fact, you know, the Khalifa of the time resides in the UK, which is fantastic. It's amazing. So there is that network. And I advise every Ahmadi Muslim that when you come to the UK to study as an international student, you know, one of the, you know, the earliest things you need to do is find out the Jamaat in your region, okay? And get involved in it. It can come really, really helpful because as part of your studies, you also realize that you've not left your spiritual and your moral well-being behind, okay? It can also help you in terms of sharing a lot of social capital, talking to other people within the Jamaat that, you know, some of them may have studied your course already or they have experience of studying, and you can share ideas. We've also got a Pan-African Muslim Ahmadiyya, you know, association. You know, we've got a UK, you know, branch as well, which is actually overseeing all the other PAAMA, you know, units across the world. And hence, you know, the reason why this program is even organized under PAAMA as well. So do get involved if you're from, you know, a Pan-African country. If you come to the UK to study, make sure you become involved in PAAMA and be active in PAAMA as well. So this was just, you know, a very whistle stop to just give you a flavor of how, you know, life as an international student looks like. Hopefully, if you do have any questions around this, I'll be around, you know, to take them.
Okay. Right.
Assalamu alaikum. I think, Brother Omar, somehow you got muted at the end. So if you want, I'm not too sure whether you think you're okay. You want to say, you add some few words before we jump to the next item.
Do you remember where I went mute?
I think it was just a closing remarks you were just doing, just a very last sentence, I believe.
Was it on the was it on this particular slide, do you think?
Yes, it was on the last slide, yeah.
All right. So I think what I remember saying in this last slide is that this is a whistle stop to just give you a flavor of life of an international student in the UK. And we're saying that, you know, I am around if you have any pertinent and specific questions in this area that you want to ask me. But I hope you do, you know, you did find the session useful. I think that's what was missed. I think so. So just
thank you. Thank you. Jazakumullah. Thank you very much, Brother Umar Sanda there. Yes. I guess we will now move on to the Q&A session, where I believe there are so many questions. And then beforehand, I guess we've even had more than 100 questions or so. But then we'll call on our brother Rashid Enin to do justice to this for us. Rashid, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think we will start with most of the questions relating to immigration matters. Appreciate we have a lot of questions. However, there are a lot of them with the same theme regarding people coming to work here and what routes they can take. So I'll start with a brother, Chris Vincent, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
How the first question goes, how can I relocate from Nigeria to the UK? How can I obtain permit of stay in the UK? And well, essentially the person is an electrical technician. So wondering how they can obtain a stay in the UK from Nigeria.
Okay, so somebody who is an electrical technician would fall within the skilled worker visa route. However, this is not a shortage occupation individual, or this is not a person that would fall within the shortage occupation list. So we have a very tall list of skilled workers, the eligible skilled workers. This might include electricians, plumbers, you know, everybody with a special skill would be part of the skilled worker route. However, under that tall list of skilled workers or professionals, we have a small section called the shortage occupation list. So we have a big set and we have the subset. If you are within the big set, it's very difficult to find an employer in need of you. So for instance, if you're a plumber, even though the Home Office says that an employer or a plumber is a skilled worker, is an eligible skilled worker, you are not on the shortage occupation list. It means that we don't have shortage of plumbers in the UK, really. Do you understand? So it will be very much difficult to find a company wanting to employ an electrical individual and an electrical professional from Nigeria that way. Of course, you can look at various companies and apply to. But if you ask me, I will tell you you're going to find a lot of difficulties with that because you are not in shortage in the UK. So for instance, if you're a chef would come in as eligible skilled worker, but a chef will not be on the shortage occupation list. It means that you are not really in high demand. You are not really highly wanted in the UK that way. But it doesn't mean that you cannot find a restaurant that may want you and may want to bring you. So the difficulty with this person would be to find a sponsor, an employer that would want to employ him from Nigeria based on his skill set. So it's doable. He must have to start looking at various possible employers and then send his CV across and all that. But it's going to be quite difficult because he's not on the small group of people or the small group of professionals within the shortage occupation list. So for instance, if you look at this tall list of eligible occupations within the skilled worker visa, we have things like social service managers, you have the managers, directors, you have travel agents, managers, proprietors, healthcare practitioners, property, housing, estate managers. You would have, I want to see where I can find mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, CA, designs and development engineers, production and process engineers, IT specialist managers. All these people would fall under the skilled worker visa. They are part of the eligible occupations or they are part of the eligible professionals. However, we just have only a small group of persons that fall within the shortage occupation list. Unless you are within that shortage occupation list, you're going to find it difficult to actually find an employer easily. So we have, the shortage occupation, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe about 20 occupations out of the many. So most of the occupations that would fall within the shortage occupation will be within the healthcare industry. You have the healthcare service and public health managers and directors. We have the nurses, we have the carers, we have the civil engineers, we have the mechanical engineers and all that. But those are within the shortage occupation list. And then we have the other eligible occupations. So of course, this person might have a bit of difficulty trying to find a job, but it's not impossible. It's possible because he falls within the eligible skilled worker route.
Thank you very much for that detailed answer.
Yeah, just before you go to your, I know you're going to switch for him most likely, but I just want him to just stress a bit on one point for us here. Because I know many will be thinking, okay, fine, I've got that particular skill set. I'm in the large group, which doesn't give me the easy option to enter. Can I switch to any other route, which is going to be quite easy for me? I mean, is there anything like that?
Yes. Yeah. So for instance, if you're in a larger group, so for instance, if you are, let's say, as this person is electrical engineer, something of that sort, or an electrical person, it means that you are in the bigger set. If you want to come into the smaller set, you can actually decide to take some short courses within the healthcare industry. So as a carer, to become a caregiver, because carers are within the small subset of the shortage occupation list. So I have friends that have taken, courses within the care industry, maybe some 3 or 4 months, course on giving care. And then after that, you then can actually call yourself a professional within that sector and then apply for jobs as, a caregiver, a care assistant, or any of the jobs that would qualify within the care industry. Because for instance, nurses would qualify, but it would take a longer period to go and train as a nurse, which is going to take you about 3 or 4 years to train as a nurse. But as a caregiver, it's not that extensive. You can actually take a short course and then you can actually then apply as a carer.
Thank you, Brother Lenin. Over to you. I think that's quite clear. for the benefits of the members.
Brilliant. The next question is, comes from Liza, says, I came to the UK with my partner on a spouse visa, on a student visa. Unfortunately, I was not given the right to work on my biometric card. What can an immigration lawyer do to help me have the right to work?
Usually there's a mistake. It's never that if you're dependent, you shouldn't have a right to work. I've seen it several times with certain clients where there's a mistake on the biometric where they will say you have no right to work. You just have to write back to the Home Office and then actually tell them that, look, you're a dependent spouse or a dependent of a student, and therefore you have a right to work under the immigration rules. It's just that they've made a mistake. It's quite common. I've seen a couple of it in last year. I saw about 3 or 4 of them. You just have to write back to the Home Office. If you want me to do it for you, I can do that for you, of course, at a charge, but it's an easy process. Just contact the Home Office again, inform them that, look, your BRP says you have no right to work when it should not state that. And then they will just amend it and send you a new BRP. That's quite simple.
Brilliant. The next question is, I want to work in the UK I want to come to the UK as an investor. What are some of the areas or sectors that I could easily choose to invest in if I have the financial proof and if I wish to enter with my family?
If he wants to come in as an investor only, that's not an available route again. The UK had a very very unique route for people with large amounts of money to come to the UK, just invest, and then you could actually get citizenship or residence after a period of time. But the UK has now sort of abolished that route, perhaps because of Russian abuse or certain countries that they didn't want them to be able and then get any sort of residence. It doesn't exist. Where you would have to come and start a business in the UK. So you just not an investment. If you just want to, if you have, let's say, even £2 million, you cannot just say, I want to come and invest that in the UK and then they should give me residence. There was a time that you could invest that £2 million and then you'd be given residence based on that. But that route has been discontinued. So we don't have that sort of route anymore, and you cannot use that. The only route you can use as somebody, with money is perhaps to look at the innovation visa scheme, find a business that is very innovative in nature, then come to the UK to set up that business. That business, as I said, must be innovative and must be scalable. If you're able to get an innovation visa, you're allowed to bring your family, that's your wife and your children. So that's the only possible route I can see for this person.
Brilliant. So the next question is, I would like to inquire on the new immigration route for teachers. We learned this opportunity is restricted to only science teachers. How true is this? This is the first part of the question. But
okay. So it's not that it's really restricted to the science. For the fact it's science and mathematics that you can actually easily find a job. I don't know how, we were teaching where you would find a job in the UK regarding perhaps coming to teach literature. It would be very difficult for you to come straight away from Nigeria or Ghana to come and teach British children literature. It's quite something that you'll find a difficulty to. And I don't think perhaps even with the Home Office, they have that sort of high demand for such teachers. But on the current openings, the Home Office says that, look, we have openings for people within mathematics and science. So it's not just the sciences. Mathematics is also something that you can actually look into. And you must have been qualified as a teacher within these areas. So you cannot just come because, let's say you're a banker. You cannot just say, look, I now want to come and teach in the UK. That's not possible. You must be a qualified teacher in your home country to be able to make good use of the QTS option, please.
Brilliant. I think that's part of the same question. It says, many Nigerians have traveled to the UK for care work. Is this opportunity still available? Okay.
Yes, it's still available. So that's carers are still within the shortage occupation list. Yes, so yes, they still can use that.
So I take one from the chat. It says, if one is on a 10-year route, which is subject to 2.5 years renewal,
Yeah.
where does the count for the 10 years start from? As some renewal may start with the Home Office for over 2 years processing. Would such delays thereby be included in the calculations of the 10 years, or it's only the accumulation of 2.5 years issued or several on the BRP, or served BRP?
I get what the person is trying to say.
Sorry?
Okay, so I get what the person is trying to say, so don't worry about that. So when you're on a 10-year route, it means you have to be in the UK legally for 10 years under that particular route. So when you submit an application to the Home Office and you're waiting a decision, all that period will count towards your stay. You're still in the country legally. So the immigration rule states that when you submit an application to the Home Office, your current leave or the conditions of your current stay remains the same until there's a final disposition of the matter. So if you're on a 2.5 years visa, it comes to an end, you apply to renew it. It takes 1 year in the Home Office for them to make a decision, which is going to be maybe, let's say, a successful decision. Then that 1 year is in addition to your 2.5 years. It's not as though your 2.5 years would have to be put on pause, and then it starts calculating again when the decision comes in. It still continues. So you can actually have been on a 2.5 years visa or 10-year route, but then your renewal periods are taking long to come in. Therefore, you will have perhaps 3 biometric residence card, which is like 7.5 years, and yet you can make up the 10 years because maybe each one will take 1 year for you to get a response from the Home Office. So it's not the counting of the years on the biometric that actually matters. It's just the period that you're in the country for, the number of years you are in the country legally for under that particular route.
Brilliant. So the next one is, we know Ghana, Nigeria, and many other African countries are on the WHO red list of countries. And so agencies are not allowed to recruit nurses directly into the UK. That means nurses are supposed to apply directly, and this has brought a lot of difficulties because most of the employers are adhering to the WHO guidelines. What is the best way out for nurses who have met all the requirements but are unable to find jobs in the UK?
For nurses, I would say the current, prohibition that there shouldn't be active recruitment from these countries is actually affecting them. However, nurses can actually be very clever, apply as a carer, get into the UK, and then switch from there. The problem is that they cannot recruit you from outside or from Nigeria or Ghana directly. But if you're already in the UK, they will still be able to recruit you. So I had a friend who actually had come to the UK, a qualified nurse, have done everything, but because she couldn't get a job directly with the NHS, she came in as a carer for a company on a sponsorship. She then gets to the UK. Within 6 months, she's then able to switch from being a carer to a nurse, because when you're in the UK, you can then apply to the NHS or any other agency that you want, because you're already outside the jurisdiction of the prohibition. So that's how perhaps the person can actually try to maneuver the band, by making sure that you can come to the UK on a different route. So even if you come in as a student, you can actually switch again from student to becoming a nurse or work in the UK as a nurse. So if the person even has a partner and the partner is coming to study, the person can come with a partner as a dependent. And then when the person gets to the UK, the person can then switch or come in as a student yourself, start your studies. If you don't want to continue studying again, you are free to switch from your tier 4 student status to, becoming a nurse or a skilled worker that way. So that's something the person can actually look at by switching routes. So coming in on a different route and switching back to becoming a nurse, if that's what they prefer.
Brilliant. I think that was quite clear. I think there are a number of questions which are based around, I think you've covered this in your previous answers, which is, I think, those who have a specific job criteria, job that they do in their country, and they're wondering if that is transferable to the UK. For instance, we have a shoemaker who makes belts, basically works in the leather industry, who was wondering how they can relocate to the UK and come and do similar jobs. It's obviously, presumably, this is still the same for
It's still the same. For any other occupation that's not on the shortage occupation list, you're going to find it difficult to find an employer coming to employ you from abroad. Because, for instance, there are several countries in the world. Why would somebody come to Ghana to employ a belt, professional? Really, how many companies in UK are into belt manufacturing? How come they are, looking for employees that way? So even if your professional is one that falls within the eligible occupations, it must be one that is very much in high demand, or it must be one that the Home Office is listed as part of the shortage occupation. Other than that, you are going to find difficulty in finding a sponsor or what we call the employer to be able to say, look, I want you to come to the UK and work for me.
I think there's a question here which perhaps isn't strictly to do with the working route. However, I had my child here in the UK 10 years ago, then went back to Africa. I am back in the UK now as an international student and want to know how my son could become a British citizen with his birth certificate, if possible.
So if your child was born in the UK, the moment you obtain indefinite leave to remain, the child can apply to be registered as a British citizen because the child was born in the UK. So if the person is an international student, I think the person then would be on maybe a student visa. So if the person after school is able to actually switch to become maybe a worker under the skilled worker route, and then be able to obtain, let's say, permanent residence or settled status or indefinite leave to remain after 5 years, then at the time that the person obtains indefinite leave to remain, then they can actually apply for a registration of this child as a British citizen. The child has spent some time outside. Other than that, if the child had lived in the UK continuously for 10 years, the child would have been able to apply as a British citizen by virtue of the fact that they were born in the UK and had lived in the UK for continuous 10 years or for that extensive period of time. But if the child was taken outside the country for perhaps a prolonged period and then you bring them back in, then there is the presumption that there's a break in their residence in the country. And therefore, you cannot say, look, I've lived here for 10 years now. I want to be registered as a British citizen. Unless the mother gets indefinite leave to remain, the child will not be able to be registered this period.
Brilliant. So is there specific site or somewhere we can, someone wanting to access the occupation shortage of occupation list?
Okay. Yes, the Home Office has the list. I can actually paste it now for them in the chat. So I'm pasting the long list of every eligible occupation. I've just pasted that one. And then I'll also paste the short one, which is the shortage one occupation, which is a short version of the ones that are actually in high demand and very likely that you find a job. I've just also pasted the second one. So the first one is the list of all the eligible occupations that you can actually come to the UK to work if you fall within. And then the second one is the one that the UK is saying we are in short of these people. We are in high demand of them. And therefore, when you are within that industry, you are very likely or highly likely to find a sponsor or an employer in the UK. But it's all on the Home Office website.
Sorry, okay. Would it be possible to include because one of the questions is how do we get in touch with yourself or to access
okay, so yes, I can provide my WhatsApp number. Anybody can contact me on there. That's 078-3757-6037. They can find me, or they can just search for Vincent Aduku Solicitors, and they'll find me online. Just easy that way, Vincent Aduku Solicitors, and they can find me. But that's easy. With those looking for the shortage occupation, just type into Google shortage occupation list UK. It will pop up from the Home Office's website.
Brilliant. I guess we'll move on to some educational questions. As I believe Mr. Chris Vincent is looking to excuse himself.
Yes, please.
Other matters to attend to. Unless Kilson Saib or Ahmed Usukune have got any other questions, then
thank you very much for changing my name. It's good to have a new name, you know, Adam tonight.
I know you've always wanted to be called Adam.
Yes, today I'm Adam. Yes, thank you very much. I think we want to have the singular honor, in fact, on behalf of PAAMA and then all the members in the chat room, in the Zoom room, to thank Mr. Chris Vincent for that wonderful delivery, and he's already left his contact details. I believe you should be expecting about 1,000 WhatsApp messages tonight.
Messages.
So you probably want to keep it mute so that you can sleep tonight and have a look at it tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much as well for your time.
Yes, we hope to call you again in future if we have other programs that we think will be of useful to us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Rashid, over to you. I guess you want to jump to the other areas.
Yes.
Sanda, I guess, want to answer some questions for us. And I can see some people also saying we should organize some special event for students with Dr. Sanda. So Sanda, get ready for such events in the Amori Tuluba section, so that you can organize a student for the PAAMA members in the United Kingdom to benefit from your expertise field as well in the students area. But then I guess Rashid want to carry on with your Q&A session, because I know our colleagues from the other firm are also here to also respond to some of those questions.
So as next questions in the educational route, we'll be asking our brother Hassan Habib. So this question goes, Assalamu alaikum. Please, I'm a Bachelor of Degree in Social Studies, and I want to further my master's in the UK and work there as well. Is there any help, please?
Sorry, Brother Rashid, can you please just repeat the question?
Essentially, they got a bachelor degree in social studies and wondering if they can come complete their masters in the UK and work at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, my definite answer is yes. The student would like to pursue their masters in UK, and also they can work.
So essentially, does this apply to almost every field? Because there are a number of questions where the people have BScs in forestry, where they want to come to the UK to complete their masters, and those, a number of questions relating to those wanting to come and further their education for masters in the UK. So essentially, are you saying this applies to all of them in the same vein? Yeah. Or are there some sort of requirements that we have to take note of?
Mm-hmm. Well, so the general answer is yes, because just I'd like to give some examples from my educational journey. So when I was back home in Bangladesh, so I studied my bachelor in history, and then I did the master's in history as well. So I was not expecting to study in Birmingham City University international business, because my background was not in business. So the beauty of studying in UK education system, they allow a lot of flexibility. So it's still, I would say, if someone has got very specific questions, so it's better to explore a lot of information to us so that we can double check and then we can give the guidelines. So, but the general answer is yes.
Brilliant. Okay. Next question is, how can I get funding options like student loans or anything? Well, or something like that. I currently have admission for master's degree starting in September, but have no funding.
Got it. So I guess the student is a local student. So when it comes for loan or funding, I think they refer to student finance. So let me clarify it for the opportunity. So if someone is settled in the UK, and I mean settled means either British citizen, European citizen, living here more than 3 years, or has got ILR status, or refugee status approved by Home Office. So they are considered as local student and they have got access to student finance. That's the first thing. So if they would like to study in the UK, they can apply to student finance and they can get a student loan, I mean, tuition fees and maintenance. And other than that, there are some, I would say, funding, especially I'd like to name a few of them, like British Council Scholar funding, that is one of them. And there are some other United Nations funding as well. So they need to just keep an eye on website. I think once in a year they announce it and they have got some sort of requirements as well for that to acquire. They can apply and they can give it a go as an international student. So right now, probably Dr. Sandra, he will give a lot of information about the funding about international student because he is very much connected to that. To be honest with you, we don't, we can't help that much in terms of funding when it comes to international students. Still, there are few students, they get it, they're lucky, and they have got brilliant track record. So they have got brilliant academic results, and also they have got work experience or academic excellency, probably teaching somewhere else. And this is how they grab the funding, especially for masters and PhD. I hope that answers.
Yeah. Yes, Jazakallah. The next question is.
Can you, I think he had referred to Dr. Sander. Can Dr. Sander Saab, do you want to come in? If there's anything you can add to that with regards to the scholarships and funding.
Yes, sure. There are several scholarships, available across various universities in the UK. Some are, very broad irrespective of the discipline. Some are quite discipline specific. So depending on the course that you want to do, there are some funding available. As you can already imagine, it's usually a competitive process. So it's a small amount of money, but a lot of people do apply for it. Some strategies are to look out for some that can be very directed and specific to certain students. So if you are international students applying from a particular region of the world, sometimes you have various scholarships that are specifically tailored towards that. Your chances are usually higher with those ones. The coverage of the scholarships also vary. So there are some of them that can take part of the tuition fee, for example, which means that you would have to fund the other part. There are some that can give you very, full scholarships as well. There is usually no straightforward formula, to be honest, in terms of, how to grab a particular scholarship. It's kind of like a jungle market, really, because sometimes these universities get these monies on ad hoc basis. So when they get the money, then they put it out there. So you've just got to be looking around and searching. There are some useful websites for certain programs, for example. Mostly, there are loads of them for PhDs compared to masters, usually, just to point out. So yes, it's sorry that there is no straightforward formula, but with rigorous search and continuous search and persistent search, and just keep trying, inshallah, you might just land yourself, successfully on one.
Right. So, Dr. Sander, whilst you're there, I appreciate you've kind of covered a bit of it, but as an international student, is there any way they can gain scholarship to study in the UK?
Yes, as pointed out, there are several ways. If you're from a Commonwealth country, for example, first of all, it's good to also look at the scholarships available from your region as well. So if you're from a Commonwealth country, for example, there is a Commonwealth Scholarship Fund, which is specifically just for students or prospective students coming from Commonwealth countries. It's a lucrative scholarship in the sense that what it does is that it covers your tuition fee, it will pay for your plane ticket, and it actually gives you some money that you can spend while in the UK. So it's really good when you get it. But you need to be aware of certain limitations to that scholarship, actually. For example, if you have the Commonwealth Scholarship, in fact, you cannot apply for the postgraduate study leave because the Commonwealth Scholarship requires you, one of the things you'll be justifying your application is to go back to your home country when you finish, because it requires you to always tailor your studies back to the home country, because that's the nature of it for you to be able to develop your country. So it's something that you need to be aware of if you're thinking that you want to take the postgraduate study leave route. Just be aware that that is a limitation for it. Apart from that, universities usually offer scholarships specifically for international students. Sometimes these scholarships are partial funding, so they'll take care of some of the tuition fees, which is good. I mean, if you have a scholarship that's taking care of about £5,000 of your tuition fee, that takes some burden off you. As I said, they are competitive, but that shouldn't stop you. It's always good talking to someone who probably has gotten the scholarship already. The universities also do have a lot of workshops to actually sell these scholarships and explain their requirements, and everything. And I always say go for it. If you try the first time you don't get it, keep on trying. Persistence really pays when it comes to things like that.
Jazakallah. So the next question goes to Hassan Habib. I want to come and study undergraduates in the UK. Apart from my evidence of finance, how much will I need to pay after my provisional offer letter? Sure.
Very good question. So it depends on university and course. So is starting from £2,500, and some of the universities requires £3,000, £3,500, something like this. So recently we got one student who is going to study at University of South Wales, and he paid £4,000. Just the deposit money, and after depositing that money, he got offer letter, cast letter, and now he's in the UK. So the remaining tuition fee he's gonna pay in different installments, like 3-4 installments. So it depends on university and courses. So let's say it's gonna start from £2,500. That's my answer. And so as Dr. He gave some sort of reality. So in this case, just I'd like to share some sort of experience working for a long time with international students. So when a student comes to us and they say, I'd like to study bachelor degree in the UK. So first of all, we ask them about their financial scenario, family background, and all that stuff. Because if the students, let's say he has got less than 5 in IELTS, probably university recommends him to go to foundation course. So the whole course is 4 years. And let's say the tuition fee is like 10, 11, 12,000 pounds, something like this per year. So can he afford to continue the whole 4 years? That's the $1 million question. So in that case, we don't like to give the mishope to the students that, okay, you'd like to study bachelor degree, come to the UK, study. So so they should think one more time before making the decision, especially for the undergraduate students. But for the master's degree, I would say, you can survive. For example, for me, it was tough because my father was a high school teacher, mother was a primary school teacher, and they have got a limited amount of money. And somehow I requested my mom to give me some money, and she took it out from her pension pot and she just deposited the money. And the remaining tuition fees, I came here probably, my dad, he borrowed a bit more money for me. But once I finished my course and I jumped into post-study work and I paid them off. So for the master's degree, it's easier, but for the undergraduate, I think it's a big challenge. So that's the thing that I want to share with you, so that you understand the whole scenario before making the big decision. I think it helps.
Brilliant. So actually that leads straight to the next question, which says, what if the person has made it to the UK and is studying, however, they cannot meet the financial, the requirements in terms of the payment of the fees. So is there any chance of increasing the amount of hours they do, or how do they go about gaining a bit more money, basically?
Okay. Well, my answer is few things that students can do. The first thing is there is a discussion right now from the UK government. Probably they can increase the students' hour. So that's a big hope, but nothing is settled yet. That's the first thing. Second thing is we have got some sort of real fact. So one of the students, he was studying third year, and he fallen into such a situation, he couldn't manage the tuition fees for third year. So just I'd like to mention the university name as well, so that it sounds accurate. So the student was studying at University of Hertfordshire. And what he did is he went to his team leader and he said, this is my situation. I'm studying third year, but I don't have any more money to pay the tuition fees. Can I get a 1 year break? And so what the team leader did is he had a consultation with the student union, his team and student. And finally, the team leader recommended him to go for 1 year work placement. So anyway, so the student got a 1 year time to accumulate some sort of money, and now he already accumulated the money, and he's financing for the fourth year, final year. So this is how he managed to get his tuition fees. So I'm not sure about the student, what his current situation, whether he is studying bachelor degree or master's degree. That's the one way, the thing to do. And the second way is probably if he's just about to finish the degree, probably in his few thousands, probably I would recommend them to ask for help. And once you jump into the post-study work, so promise them that I'm gonna pay them back. That's what I did. Because I think it's some kind of hawk as well, to ask for help to relatives and the nearest ones. And once we manage the money, and we can pay off. So that's the thing.
MashaAllah. So are there any universities who you'd say have lower fees for international students in the UK?
So did you mean
in terms of their school fees, basically, in terms of university fees? Are there any universities whose fees are a bit lower for international students?
Well, there are a few universities. So just I'd like to mention one of them is, so probably one of them is Teesside University. They have got lower tuition fees. And so it's gonna be a bit easier for us if we find the students what discipline they would like to study. So after that, probably I could direct them to these few universities. That's going to be the lowest tuition fees for the study.
Good. The other question is, I live in the UK. I have no entry qualifications to enter university as a local student. Mm-hmm. What would your office do to help me, and how much is your service charge?
Okay, excellent question. So that's a very good question, I would say. And my career is started with working with local students first, then we moved to international students. So let me tell you, the good news is without any sort of qualification, you can study at university level when you are considered as local student. So it's not all the subjects you can study. There are few courses like business related course, then healthcare related course. So you can study without any qualification. So the reason I said is without any previous qualification is, so university designed the course as a way, it's called foundation year. So you can start with foundation year. Once you finish foundation year, then you're gonna move to first year, second year, and final year. This is how you can finish your graduation. And also, for example, if you'd like to study a very specific course, but you don't have any previous qualification, in that case, we can help you as well, because you have got college which provides level 3 qualification, which is equivalent to A level. So you can finish that, then you can jump into university with your desired course. And in terms of service charge, we do not charge even a single penny for our service. The reason is because we are working with university as a university partner. So once you go to university, you apply for student finance and they get the tuition fees and we get a little bit of commission from university. That's why we do not charge. Hope it answers your question.
Yes, does. I think, Dr. Sander, do you have any more to add to that? Or if not, it seems we've been online for a while now, so we'll be looking to bring this Q&A session to an end.
Perhaps just, I think it's just a comment on the supports to pay tuition. Just a few sentences there, that because one of the requirements is, if you're an international student, the requirement is that you would have been able to look after yourself financially. That's the basis of which you are awarded, giving you a Tier 4 visa. But then, of course, the university is also aware that things can happen in life, unforeseeable circumstances can happen in life. And just to point out that, the UK universities are quite sensible when it comes to that. And, when you have any situation like that, always the first thing is to talk to the university, talk to the finance services. We've had students who have been in those situations and where the university has sort of helped them in a way. So one of the things that they've perhaps helped students is they've sort of spread the rest of the tuition fee amount across, their program, where they then pay in installments, and that takes a little bit of pressure away. Sometimes some students are also directed to, job opportunities within the university itself that could help support that. So I would say, if you are in a situation like that, talk to the university finance. One of the things that you don't want to do is to break your visa contract that you have with the university, because they are sponsoring you. And once you break that contract, then it actually pushes them to go a bit further and then referring the situation to the immigration, which then goes, very different and quite strict. So also the university is very sensible, talk to them. And most of the students who've had these issues, we've kind of always found a way to help them to be able to pay the rest of their tuition fees.
Jazakallah. I guess we will bring the Q&A session to an end. I appreciate there are a lot of questions that perhaps have not been answered. However, if the professionals are going to leave their contact details, so if there are any questions you want to pose to them or any other, I guess they'll be willing to answer if need be. If not, we will compile all your questions and then see how best we can get them answered for you, inshallah.
Yes, thank you very much, Brother Rashid, for that Q&A session. I believe it's quite enlightening. I think the whole evening has been very educating and enlightening as well. For those who are those who are stuck in the system and trying to see how best they can get around extend their visas. Those who wanting to come and study, those who are already studying and then stuck somewhere because they are not having the funds to be able to continue. And then, our own Sander has also been very good in trying to just get the side of the education. And I believe that has enthused some of the PAAMA guys who are now looking to have a session with Sander. So Sander, you already booked, okay, so make sure you don't book another session until that one is sorted. I know your football sessions, your sports sessions are coming up as well. So I know it's going to be quite a busy period for you now. Anyway, I guess we will probably be wrapping up now. We've gone over quite a good longer period, a bit of a long haul. But then we want to thank all the experts who have actually done justice. Yes.
Sorry, Brother Ahmed. If you just allow me 1 minute, just I'd like to share a bit of information.
Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So I know there are some students who would like to study medicine in the UK. So if you have got already bachelor degree from your country, and if you can get 6.5 in IELTS, so right now we started working with one of the universities. So they require 6.5 in IELTS, and we have got 6 courses you can study in masters. And once you finish this course, and by this time, if you have got 7 in IELTS, or already you have 7 in IELTS, then the university, so once you finish this course, they will provide you temporary GMC registration. So GMC registration means once you get it, you can practice in the UK in NHS system. Once you have got temporary, so that means you are allowed to work 2 years as a medical professional in the UK. So, and after that, you can apply for the permanent registration, and you can work here as a doctor, and you can settle in the UK. So that's the I mean, very specific information for the doctors who would like to come to study for their master's degree, and they would like to get settled in the UK. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much, and then thank you to all the panels who have done justice to tonight's event. I will just add one tiny bit so that we can just come to a close of the event, and that is, as Muslims, we always know, without the help of the Almighty Allah, whatever we are doing cannot be as successful as we wish it to be. So whatever route you want to take, don't ever lose sight of the fact that the Almighty God is the one who created everything, all the courses, the UK, or wherever you want to go. Allah created it, and he's got the authority over everything as well. So whilst you push and strive to achieve whatever you want to achieve, do not ever lose sight of the fact that there's the Almighty Allah there. You need to go before him and pray so that he can help you. And most importantly as well, for us, the Ahmadis, we are so fortunate we have our beloved Huzur, who we know is someone chosen by Allah himself, and Allah listens to him. So if we write letters to him for special prayers in that regard as well, a lot of our difficulties and a lot of the challenges that we are facing would always be faced with the help of the Almighty Allah. So thank you very much with this. And at this point, I think, thank you very much again. I know Hassan is here. I would probably, Dr. Umar Sanda, if you want to lead us in a silent prayer to bring the session to a close.
Yes, sure. Shall we lift our hands in silent prayer? ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار آمين.
آمين.